wanted to add experience, size, skill, physicality, shooting, passing, and we were able to do so. I think it's very complimentary to our younger veterans that have been here for a while. So I think it was a natural, a natural step. I don't think we were skipping steps by any means, and we look forward to quickly integrating all of our new players and seeing what it means. I think changing Gordon's role is yet to be determined. What Dante returning to health obviously is, and the addition of George Hill via trade during the draft did add to the point guard depth. But I think both Dante and George, Shelvin, Howell, Marcus, they all fit the requirements for the position, and they're able to defend the position. They're able to make open shots. Certainly, Dante coming back, we don't know totally how he's going to develop. So there's a little bit on the come, if you will. But we hope to help him realize his full development over the next few years. So how that works out with Dante and George and Shelvin it will be complex and nuanced, and coach will eventually have to make some decisions. But I think as much as anything, we believe in the character of that position collectively. And again, how it impacts Gordon, we'll find out once he and George play together and we bring Dante back. But there are multiple lineup options. Besides Dante being back, Alec Burks handled the ball some to help us close in the previous 2 seasons, so I don't think it needs to get lost on us that he could help us close as well eventually. So those things will kind of work themselves out. We'll react appropriately, and we'll certainly have those conversations before, during, and after with all the players to manage their expectations as well. He's off to a good start because he's healthy, and to date, knock on wood, he hasn't had any setbacks. As everyone in the room knows, and Tony just wrote about yesterday, is we were very cautious, and we did want to honor the next 12 years over the next 12 months. So that means a lot of things about phases of rehab and how long Dante entered those, and we really appreciate his patience. That meant certainly we wanted to hold him out of summer league. We didn't want that instantaneous judgment coming down on him or the club. Certainly we had to be mindful of the Olympics, so we came to an agreement with Dante relative to his participation or not participating this particular Olympics. And where he was at in June, I think it's hard to say I'm surprised to see where he's at now, but I am surprised to see where he's at now when I first saw him play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and eventually 5-on-5 towards the end of June. He has progressed. And I think Lamar Skeeter deserves a lot of credit. Our medical services deserves a lot of credit. Not only has he got healthy, but he's developed. He's playing differently in our OTAs than he's ever played before, maybe absent the one summer league game where we saw some improvement. So, but how much, how soon, how consistent, to be frank, is I don't think any of us really know.
You know, to the extent that both Dennis and myself were familiar with them, I think there's a comfort level that you have with some of the training that guys have received. And, you know, their roles here, well, George's role in particular will be slightly different than it was when he was in San Antonio. Boris's may be similar in some respects. So I think there's a comfort level in who they are as players and how they fit with our group. And certainly some of that could be attributable to the experience they both have had in San Antonio. And obviously I've talked to Pop about both of them, and I know Dennis and I both, we've discussed that. And you know, he was more involved in the early stages of George's career than I was, but I was, you know, I saw his development there as well. So I think it's a positive. Well, I think, you know, the thing that we've tried to do is play to the strengths of our personnel. And, whether that has been Gordon and Rodney with the ball in pick and roll, that is probably, compared to the rest of the league, our wings handle more. What we've done with our bigs as far as them handling the ball at the elbows and dribble handoffs and things like that. So we'll continue. We did last year, adapted, and we'll continue to adapt based on, the guys that we have. Some of the things that we do will be consistent. I think there's value in continuity, but they'll look different because the players that are doing them will make different reads and different decisions. There may be shots that Joe Johnson might take that other guys on our team hadn't taken up to that point. So I think it's my job to continue to try to find the best ways to use those guys. And some of it will be, we do have more versatility, as you mentioned, to play different ways. And, if Joe Johnson's playing at the quote-unquote 4 and Derek Favors at the 4, they're different players. So they'll gravitate to their strengths, and we'll try to identify what those are and maximize what both those guys can do. Well, I think, the fit is a really good one, and it's something I think he realized, and we did too, during July of this past year, because that was one of the reasons that he's here, and that we both felt that his contribution could be significant, regardless of whether he's starting or playing 30 minutes a game or what the situation is. So he's coming into it with an open mind. I think I am too, as are our players. And what he does bring is a confidence and an experience, and as much as anything, a maturity. This is a player that he's started every game, for the last 10 years. So he knows that the situation here could be different, but that wasn't a deterrent to him coming here. And just like all our guys, we'll find out more as we begin the season, and the competitiveness of the group will make it. People sometimes like to think coaches make decisions. Oftentimes, players and how they play and how they compete help make those decisions. And Joe's a guy, we know who he is. I think he gives us a bigger wing that's capable of scoring on the post, that's capable of playing the 4 position if we're playing quote-unquote small. So the versatility would be the other thing that I would add. But more than those things, I think the character that he's displayed, his work ethic, I've been not surprised but pleased to see how methodically that he's prepared. And there's a reason he's playing at the level that he is over the course of his career, because his preparation is outstanding. And that's another thing when we talk about maturity and leadership. That's something that it will be visible to our guys, and already has been. I think for one thing, there's times when you'll have people in the game that you won't feel as necessary to say, we had Alec out last year, we didn't have Joe Johnson, and the rotation was more thin. So now you've got other players that can play and play effectively, where maybe there's not as great an urgency, where you feel like you need Gordon to come in and fix something. His game fits in with what you're doing, as does the time that he's spending on the bench, and that he's able to not become as fatigued, even in a game-to-game situation. And I think the same is true over the course of a month, a week. And he's learning to be more aware of his body. I think last year, he had the plantar fasciitis. The irony, I think the guy missed like 1-2 games the whole year. I mean, it's really remarkable what he's done. It's been incredible toughness and resiliency, and he'll keep that, and we can help him with it. Just would be the adaptation of what we're doing offensively with some new players that bring different skill sets. I think George is a great complement to Gordon and Rodney with some of the things that he's doing. What Boris is a really versatile player. His ability to pass the ball is not just unique on our team, it's unique across the league. And obviously Joe, one of the things that Joe, you know, the nickname ISO Joe, Joe's actually a really unselfish player. And I'm great with ISO Joe because that means he's able to create a good shot. And it doesn't mean, you know, that he's not a willing passer. So some other dimensions there where we have to just kind of pay attention to and see how offensively your team develops, how those guys gel, how they work together. And you've got three guys that, you know, that have unique skill sets that they can bring to your team. And I think that's one other thing that we've got to be mindful of.